Take that, Rex.
Yeah, Rex.
All this positivity, I can't take it.
Stand it. It's kind of pathological, isn't it?
Well, well,
Do you have a few minutes, or do you have to get going, Paul? Dr. Paul?
We've kept you a while, Paul. What do you
I learned a
think?
long time ago my calendar works for me, not the other way around.
Okay.
you're kind.
So let's
Well,
do
just
it.
a couple minutes.
Gosh, you got me thinking about a lot of stuff. I read a book a while ago called Split the Difference. And one of the things I learned from that book, I thought this was fascinating, is that people will work harder to avoid a loss than to make a gain. That's just typical psychology. How do we reverse that? I mean, we all have kind of a negative bias, I guess, in that sense.
I think the reason for that, Rex, is that default is down. You never hear of someone falling up.
Mean old Mr. Gravity.
Yeah, well, and that's at play in our psychology too. And we even know this energetically. Negative thoughts are a lower energy vibration than positive thoughts. And anything that requires elevation is going to require effort, force, work, power. Lights are another example. You cut the power to the room and it gets darker,
And
not
cheaper.
lighter.
True.
Yeah. It requires a payment, right? There, intentional effort is needed to elevate anything. And so knowing that it's important to be positive isn't enough. It's going to require some practice, effort to elevate that. And I was listening to another podcast where Bryce Pritchett was being interviewed. You could go look him up. He's a very prolific author in the leadership and kind of positive psychology space as well. And Price was asking the question. He said, what's more important, increasing positives or decreasing negatives? And I'm the positivity guy. I'm like, increasing positives, of course, right? He's like, no, decreasing the negatives is more important. Because what's louder in your head? And if you've got a positive thought and a negative thought, which one do you believe?
Mm-hmm.
It's easier to roll downhill.
Well, that's what affects people more too, is we have this bias to negativity that one bad comment is worth way more than 10 good ones.
Well, and Martin Seligman did some research on this. He's at Penn. He's one of the founders of positive psychology, at least from an academic standpoint. And I was developing some clinical applications about the same time that he was coming out with the academic piece. And in the research that he did, it's a little surprising because when they look at depression, you would guess that depression, there's a lot more negatives happening than positives. But what they found is the ratio is balanced. It's 1-to-1. If you have an equal balance of positive and negative, and think about how this applies to marriage too, you guys. How many negative comments to how many positive comments? I mean, what's the ratio? Depression is 1-to-1. Happiness, he identified a 5-to-1 ratio, 5 positives for every negative. You know what it is in junior high? 13 negatives to every positive that these kids are experiencing. And when stressors come up in a marriage, how many of those conversations are positive versus negative? What is the energetic interaction between these people? And so reducing the negatives becomes even more important than increasing the positives.
Wow.
And then Eckhart Tolle was talking to Oprah on one of her podcasts, and Eckhart was saying the best way we've found to reduce the negatives is meditation. Just pure and simple. You can't just tell yourself, stop thinking negative thoughts. It'd be like me saying, don't think about grapefruit. And what are you doing right now?
Thinking about an elephant.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, don't think about elephants.
Yeah.
Well, now I'm thinking about a grapefruit.
So funny, Rex. You're so funny.
So just and meditation seems to be the best way that we know to just quiet the noise. And it opens up some space because I think the human spirit, the human soul is craving the positivity, that higher energy. And when we can quiet the noise, it opens up that space and we can actually allow some room. I was watching, I know this says a lot about Dr. Paul too, but I was watching an episode of Hoarders. Have you seen that? I think it's on Prime or something. Anyway, these houses get so crammed with crap. How would you ever bring something else into the home that's positive until you clear the space? And I think that's part of what we're trying to do mentally. We tend to hoard negative thoughts and then we ruminate on them and they keep us awake at night. And so we've got to have a way of clearing the hoard. And then I think when they feel that clearing, it's just like, ah. And there's this natural peace that our mind and soul, I think, will exist in if we can clear some of the noise.
And then I find that I'm very careful what I bring in. Does that make sense, Paul?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, even literally cleaning a space, it's like, oh, this looks so nice to have a minimalist office.
Mhm.
I'm very careful what I add.
Right.
I just think that is so profound. The hoarders comment, and in comparison is, yeah, you just, so, you know, we just collect the junk and you want to reduce the negative. That's the more important part to increase, you know, even being able to produce positive.
How many negative thoughts did we pick up from something somebody said to us when we were 5? And we still have that crap in our head?
A supernova just went off when you said that.
What? If it's not serving us well, how about we toss it? But you know, you watch that hoarder show and it's hard for them to toss stuff. They're clinging to it. And I say I mean, that's our story with their details, right? Because I think we all hoard these thoughts. They're not serving us well. They're taking up space. They're definitely not supporting our relationships or our joy.
I think they really paint how we interact with people too. Like,
oh, absolutely.
Because that becomes part of our inner narrative, which was something else I wanted to ask you about. How much of, how can, I mean, I think you've kind of answered it, but rewriting our own internal narrative to be more positive and clearing out that junk. Like, what's a good first step?
That's why I built this new platform, because I've been asking the same question, Rex. I've been in clinical practice now for 30 years. And I still ask myself on a constant basis, how can we help people to actually install a new programming? And there's 2 kinds of learning. Okay. There's breakthrough learning. That's when the lights go on. You have the aha moment is what we call it in psychology. And I know that this episode is going to turn on that light for some people. Okay, maybe it has for you.
It did. That hoarders thing did.
Ding, ding, ding. And you recognize a principle. Then there's transformational learning, which is more like learning a language or a musical instrument. It's not lights going on. It's practice. And sprinkling, not dumping the whole bucket of water on it and hoping for the best daily. And so the design that I've come up with, and we're going to test it. It's never been done that I know, where we have an app to give you daily, weekly, monthly positives. And the weekly and monthly are more about kind of breakthroughs and learning the material. The daily is all about reducing the noise and sprinkling a little bit every day, 3 minutes a day.
Yeah.
So you start with, if you want to do, if the lights went on for you today, Rex, about, hey, you know what? I'm going to learn Finnish.
Yep.
That's actually what I've been thinking about. You're spot on.
I happen to be fluent in Finnish.
Oh, okay.
It's my second language. I'm working on Spanish now.
Okay.
But for the lights to go on, it's like, okay, now what do I do? Well, you're not going to go try to hype yourself up more about learning Finnish. You're going to go into your Duolingo app and you're going to start with the first lesson in Finnish. And it's going to sound very foreign to you. But then you're going to show up tomorrow and you're going to do the second lesson and you'll show up the next day. And I'm doing this right now in Duolingo with Spanish. I just hit day, I think it's like 574 or something like that, where I've been at it. And now I can listen to a conversation in Spanish and follow it. I'm still not confident about, talking to a lot of my neighbors. But that's why I'm learning it, because I live in an area that has a lot of Spanish speakers. So I think learning a language versus having an aha moment. So that we have to address both kinds of learning. And if you really want to install positivity when you're programming and your experience is more negative, it's going to take some reprogramming, a lot like learning a language. So get really practical about it and say, okay, here's what I'm going to do on a daily basis. And you commit to that and you work it into your routine. I don't know of other shortcuts. I think if we reprogram our brain, we have to do daily, weekly, monthly kinds of routines to get into that. At least that's what my experience tells me.
I think you just got to start by cleaning something. And for some reason, my mind is jumping to Jordan Peterson about clean your room. Clean your room.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good place to start, is start decluttering a physical space. And then you could probably start decluttering the mental space.
Yeah. Your physical spaces represent what's going on in your mind.
Yeah, it is. It's a manifestation for
right.
Sure.
Clean a closet. I had, was it Rob Schallenberger, I think, was the guest on my podcast when he suggested when you're cleaning a closet, you take, it was Greg McEwen, author of Essentialism. And Greg was saying, when you're cleaning a closet, you take the item, whatever the item is, I've got this water bottle here, but whatever it is, you pull it out and you say, okay, because there's an ownership bias. And this is especially true in psychology. If we already own a thought, we value it more than it's actually worth. But you take the item and you say, okay, if I didn't already own this, how much would I pay to obtain it today? Now take some of your thoughts. If I didn't already own this thought, how much would I pay to obtain it? And most of those negative ones, your answer is going to be, I would pay to get rid of it. I just don't know how, right? Until you see it as a choice, it's not. And that's why the awareness is so important. So yeah, clean out some physical space to practice. I remember years ago, I took 4 items that I was holding on to that I actually valued and had some value to me, and I gave them away to all my children. I told them the meaning it had for me, and they're like, well, you can't give this to me. This is important to you. And I said, that's why I'm giving it to you.
Neat.
And I valued that interaction and what it created with my children more than I valued the thing. And I value the space more than I valued having clutter.
Very cool.
Oh,
Does that
Paul.
work for you, Rex?
Yeah, that was. I could talk to you for another couple hours. This is good.
Yeah.
Like Dave said.
Well, I'd have to start billing you at some point.
It's good.
I got a company credit card, so.
Yeah. USU, put it on USU, Dave.
You know what? Actually, the coaching that I do is a legitimate business expense. And I have 3 CEOs that they just budgeted in.
Wow.
How important is it for leaders in business to take care of their mental hygiene?
Yeah.
It affects everybody on their team and the bottom line.
It's a high stress job.
Yeah. But go to check out the New Positives platform. It doesn't open officially until August 20th or 21st. I haven't decided which day is the actual opening, but you can get the Positivity Power Pack there if you go to positives.life, and you'll get also a little sample of what we're doing for daily, weekly, monthly.
Oh, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah.
It's been incredible.
So
Thank
good.
you for the invitation.
If you would, we would love to have you back.
Yeah. Yep. That would be a joy.
Yes. I mean, anytime somebody says, hey, do you want to talk to our audience? Absolutely. Because I don't have to go find them.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
We'll do it.
I'd be happy to. There's obviously a lot of directions we can go in both evaluation and creation. And I've got 3 other models that I've developed too. So
Of course you do.
There's plenty.
Good.
Yes. And Dave, you're going to be on my mic.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
But
right.
in 2 weeks, I think.
I'm looking forward to it. Yeah. It'll be a lot of fun.
It will be.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, good.
Well, thanks,
Paul.
Paul.
Thank you. Huge thanks.
Yeah.
So well.
Thank you.
Such a pleasure, Paul.
Yep. Thanks for coming on.
It's been great.
Thanks for joining us today. Hey, do us a favor and take a second to subscribe to our podcast and the Utah Marriage Commission YouTube channel at Utah Marriage Commission, where you can watch this and every episode of the show. Be sure to smash the like button, leave a comment, and share this episode with a friend. You can also follow and interact with us on Instagram at Stronger Marriage Life and Facebook at Stronger Marriage. So be sure to share with us which topics you loved or which guests we should have on the show next. If you want even more resources to improve your marriage or relationship connection, visit strongermarriage.org, where you'll find free workshops, e-courses, in-depth webinars, relationship surveys, and more. Each episode of Stronger Marriage Connection is hosted and sponsored by the Utah Marriage Commission at Utah State University. And finally, a big thanks to our producer, Rex Polanis, and the team at Utah State University, and you, our audience. You make this show possible. The opinions, findings, conclusions, and recommendations expressed in this podcast do not necessarily reflect the views of the Utah Marriage Commission.